Months passed after the BBC feature aired, but the movement didn't fade the way most internet trends do. Instead, it kept evolving, like a wave that refused to settle. Filipino English was no longer a conversation. It had become a cultural shift. Across the world, something surprising began to happen. Schools, companies, and organizations started inviting Filipino teachers and speakers to conduct workshops, webinars, and conferences. Not to correct their English, but to learn from it, its clarity, its warmth, its adaptability. In Toronto, a multinational company invited a Filipino call center manager named Moriel to give a talk. She walked on stage in her simple blazer and quiet confidence. She spoke English the way she always had, smooth, natural, with that Filipino cadence nobody could copy even if they tried. The audience was stunned. She explained how Filipinos think in two languages at once, how their English absorbs emotion, and why Filipino communication is naturally empathetic. The CEO told her afterward, "Your voice makes English feel human." Clips of her talk went viral too, attracting praise from people who had never heard Filipino English before. "Why does this sound comforting?" one comment asked. "It feels like home." The world was starting to understand the charm Filipinos had known all along. Meanwhile in Manila, Rihanna, the college student whose video ignited the emotional tone of the movement, found herself overwhelmed by messages. Some thanked her. Some shared stories of being mocked for their accents. Others simply said, "You gave me confidence." She wasn't used to attention. She preferred quiet corners and late-night reading. But every time she opened her phone and saw messages from OFWs across Europe or students from Mindanao, she realized this became bigger than her. It wasn't her video anymore, it was everyone's voice. One day, she received an email with an unfamiliar British domain. She assumed it was a scam and nearly deleted it. But curiosity made her open it. It was from Thomas. He had seen her videos, all of them. He saw the comments she dealt with, the students she encouraged, the small moments where she spoke like someone who carried many people's stories on her shoulders. And he wrote her not as a news anchor, not as a public figure, but as a man trying to understand a world he once laughed at. He asked if she would be willing to join an international panel in London about global English accents. She stared at the screen, hands shaking. She was just a student. London felt like another planet. But something in her heart whispered, "It's time." The next few weeks became a blur. Paperwork, interviews, fundraising help from her university, a quiet farewell from her parents who packed her luggage as if she were traveling to the moon. Her mother hugged her tightly at the airport and whispered in Tagalog, "Speak the way you always speak. Your voice is enough." Those words stayed with her. When she landed in London, everything felt surreal. The cold air, the unfamiliar accents, the way people walked fast like life was chasing them. Thomas met her at the BBC building, smiling nervously at first, unsure if she would resent him. She didn't. She simply said, "Thank you for inviting me," and he felt the weight on his shoulders lift a little. During the panel preparations, the producers assigned her a coach to help with stage presence. But the coach soon realized Rihanna didn't need much coaching. She spoke plainly, calmly, confidently. Her accent wasn't something she tried to hide. It was something she carried like a badge. The day of the panel arrived, a massive hall filled with linguists, journalists, students from different nations, and observers from cultural organizations. Cameras lined the back of the hall. The event was being live-streamed to millions. When the moderator introduced Rihanna as one of the voices who shaped the global conversation, she almost cried. But she breathed slowly and walked to the microphone. Alone, under the soft golden lights, she spoke. Not with anger. Not with fanfare. But with truth. She shared how kids in Mindanao were teased for their accents. How call center workers spent hours training to sound neutral. How thousands of Filipinos overseas hid their English because people judged them before hearing them. And then she said something that made the entire room fall silent. "My accent," she said, "is the sound of 300 years of history, 100 years of adaptation, and a lifetime of trying. It carries defeat, survival, resilience, and hope. If that sounds funny to some people, then they are hearing the sound but not the story." The hall erupted into applause. Some stood. Some cried. Watching from the audience, Thomas felt something inside him soften. He had apologized before. But this was the first time he understood. After the panel, international media outlets swarmed her. CNN, Al Jazeera, ABC. Even small independent journalists wanted to hear her voice. They asked how she stayed confident despite the global spotlight. She said she didn't. She wasn't fearless, she was simply tired of pretending her accent was a problem. In the days that followed, the movement took on a new form. Filipino schools launched Proud Accent Week. Students presented speeches, poetry, and stories in Filipino English, celebrating the beauty of rhythm and melody in their voices. Teachers decorated classrooms with quotes like "Your language is your power" and "Speak loud. Speak proud." In Dubai, a group of Filipino nurses created a heartwarming video titled "The Voices That Heal," showing how they communicate with patients from different nationalities. The video trended globally for its kindness and clarity. In California, a Filipino-American teenager created a viral TikTok challenge called #Say It in Filipino English, encouraging people worldwide to try reading lines using the same musical tone. People from India, Nigeria, Korea, and even the US joined in. What started as a laugh became a celebration. But the most unexpected ripple came from British schools. Teachers started noticing students asking about Filipino English. They wanted to know what made it unique. What made it warm? What made it travel so far in such a short time? Workshops were created. Research papers were written. A university in Scotland even launched a study titled "The Cultural Power of Filipino English." When the BBC aired their second follow-up documentary, something extraordinary happened. They invited Filipinos to record voiceovers for parts of the film using their accent proudly. Documentary narration, once dominated by British tone, suddenly carried the Filipino rhythm. Viewers called it refreshing, authentic, human. Months later, something even more surprising unfolded. Thomas was nominated for a Journalism Ethics Award, not for his laugh, of course, but for how he handled the aftermath. His transparency, his willingness to learn, his effort to elevate Filipino voices. He didn't feel he deserved it. He felt Rihanna did. So when the award ceremony night came, held in a glittering hall with black suits and champagne toasts, Thomas walked on stage, accepted the plaque, and said, "I dedicate this to the people who taught me that English is not one accent, not one country. It is a world, and Filipinos are one of its brightest lights." The audience applauded. But far away in Manila, Rihanna watched the live stream from her dorm room. She hugged her pillow tightly as tears rolled down her cheeks. She wasn't famous. She wasn't rich. But she was no longer invisible. She had become a voice, one that echoed around the world. Over the next year, the conversation kept growing. Brands began hiring Filipino voiceover artists. Western movies added Filipino accent English characters not as jokes, but as leads. Publishing houses sought Filipino writers to tell their stories. Schools placed Filipino English materials in global language courses. The world finally understood what Filipinos had known for decades: English did not need to be copied to be correct. It could belong to many cultures at once. And Filipino English, with its softness, its brightness, its musicality, became the sound of a resilient people finally seen.